Hey, you know Ludwig, right? It's this guy. And well, oh. He put on a 10-day game jam, and there's 5 days left. And as you can see, I've done absolutely nothing. There's cash money on the line, and I've got to tighten up and think of an idea. There's 2 rules every game has to follow. 1, it has to include Ludwig's cat, Koo's. And 2, it has to be able to be beaten in 10 minutes. Right, so the idea is to basically create Celeste. But instead of Madeline is Koo's. And instead of climbing a mountain, they're climbing out the sewers. Now I know this is like the most basic idea of all time, and it's also quite a bad idea, as one of the categories the games are rated on is literally called originality. No need to worry though, my friend, we have fun, and if you have a project by the end that you sort of are proud of, who cares? I started doing my classic of creating all the animations for my character before writing a single line of code. Would not recommend. Anyhow, it was fine. I started by creating a design for Koo's and ended with this one. He's got a cute little jacket on. And then I made all the basic animations I'd need, like run, idle, jump and fall, and chucked them into Unity and got started on the programming. I'm quite familiar with state machines, so I decided to create and use one for this project. You may say this is a little over-engineered, and it definitely is for this small of a project. But I like them okay. It keeps everything neat and tidy. I then gave Koo's all the necessary moves like walking and jumping. I realised early on that most of my time making this game will be spent on level design, so I needed a way to create levels quickly. I present to you auto tiles. I created all the different tiles I would need in a sprite, and ended the day giving them a bunch of different rules that would allow them to do crazy stuff like this. To begin the level design, I first created this tutorial area where players would learn and get used to the controls. When creating a good tutorial, you should introduce the mechanics slowly. The player starts the game in this little area and is quickly met with this wall that gives the player a little tease of what's to come. They are then forced to make their way around. They will then unlock this wall ability, fall down this hole, and voila, recognise this wall? The rest of the day was just designing levels and creating different mechanics or obstacles for the player. I went on to create the spring, this wall that allows you to jump again, and these moving spike traps. Oh, and I added death to the player. I created checkpoints around the map so the player wouldn't respawn too far from where they died. The next day, I just continued designing and making all the levels. I wanted one more obstacle for the player, so I added these platforms which fall if you step on them. Now I'm missing one thing that Celeste has that my game doesn't. Optional collectibles. So I added these cute little fish that you can pick up. They don't serve any purpose other than this satisfying animation when you pick them up. By the end of the day, I also finished designing and creating all the levels. Today was graphics day. I plan on creating the backgrounds and adding some fancy post-processing. To create the background, I created a bunch of modular pixel art assets in a sprite, which I could combine and shape to my liking with tile maps. I did this for the entire map. It took forever. I then used post-processing and bloom to really bring the scene to life. I used a sneaky little trick for glow, which I haven't seen anybody else do. Normally you'd have to create an emission map for each sprite, which is a bit of a faff. What I did was create a new global light and put them on individual layers. I could then control the brightness on each layer of my scene. Then using bloom, I would give the scene a glow. This allowed for a really flexible glow which is not affected by dark areas of your game. I use this technique on the background, different items and spikes. Next, I created this animation for the beginning of the game. Koo's will sleep until the player presses space. To end the day, I started on sounds. I did this by creating a sound manager which I could drag all the different sounds into, and then cool with code. There was one day left and I still had a lot to do. First things first, I created a starting menu and the windscreen. I needed music, and didn't have any time to create my own, so I found some online. I'll link his site in the description. Oh yeah, I also created this nice transition between scenes. I also created these cool looking tutorial icons to tell the player which button is which. And with a final bit of polish, the game is done. published the game on itch and submitted it to the jam. Now it was time for the games to be rated. And luckily the game is below the 10-minute time limit, as I can easily beat it in around 3. There's no way anybody can go over the 25 minutes. It took this person 25 minutes. I don't stand a chance. The results came in, and this is where it placed in each category. Pretty much what I expected, as the game took a lot longer to beat than I thought, and the premise wasn't exactly too original. I'm still quite happy with what I was able to make in 5 days though. It's quite a polished little experience, and as for Ludwig, yeah, he didn't play it. If you want to play the game though, and try and beat my time, there'll be a link in the description for the itch page. Thanks for watching. Bye.